Welcome to The Explainer. We're here to break down tricky projects so you can build with total confidence. And today, we're starting from the ground up, literally, with the timber floor. So have you ever really thought about what's holding you up right now? It's not just a bunch of wooden planks. Nope. It's a whole system, a really carefully engineered one. And believe it or not, the real work starts way before a single nail gets hammered in.
It really all boils down to two main phases, planning and building. So yeah, go ahead and grab your virtual tool belt. We're going to walk through the entire blueprint together, from figuring out your materials all the way to those final finishing touches that honestly make all the difference. Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, getting your materials right. And listen, this part is everything. Seriously, if you make a mistake here, it can cost you a ton of time and money down the road. So getting this right from the get-go is absolutely crucial.
Okay, so the first thing you've got to understand is that any timber floor has two main parts. It really boils down to the floorboards, the part you actually see and walk on, and the joists, which are the support system hiding underneath. Let's break down why each one is so important.
All right, first up, the floorboards. Pretty straightforward, right? This is the surface you're going to be walking on, and figuring out how many you need is actually pretty easy. You just measure the length and width of your room. Doing this one simple thing saves you from buying too much or, worse, not enough.
And then you've got the joists. These are kind of the unsung heroes of your floor, right? They're the structural beams that run underneath everything, giving the floor all its strength and stability. And I can't stress this enough. Getting the number of joists and their spacing perfect is absolutely non-negotiable if you want a solid floor.
Yeah, and this slide shows you exactly why that spacing is so critical. Look at the difference. If you try to cut corners and use too few joists, spacing them too far apart, what do you get? A weak, bouncy, and probably pretty annoying floor. But when you do it right, usually spacing them about 16 or 24 inches apart, you get that rock-solid, stable floor that you can count on.
Okay, so our plan is solid. We've got our materials figured out. Now for the fun part, the build. This is where all that careful planning really starts to pay off, and you get to see your floor actually come to life.
But before you even start cutting, the quality of the timber you choose is going to make or break this project. You need wood that is 1. Strong, obviously for support. 2. It has to be dry, and this is a big one. If it's wet, it's going to warp and shrink later on, which is a disaster. And 3. It needs to be perfectly straight. That's how you get that nice, even, professional-looking finish.
And check this out. This shows you a really key decision you have to make, what kind of boards to use. You could go with plain boards, which are fine. They just sit side by side. Or you can use tongue and groove boards. See how they have those interlocking edges? They literally lock together. This gives you a way tighter fit. It stops gaps from forming over time, and it actually makes the whole floor stronger. It's a game changer.
The actual building part follows a really logical order. You can't just jump ahead. You've got to build a solid foundation before you even think about the surface. So it all starts with the joists, and then you work your way up, step by meticulous step, until you get to the surface you'll be walking on.
Now, one of those steps is installing bridging. It might seem like a small detail, but it is so important. These are just small supports you put between the joists. And what do? They stop the joists from twisting or moving over time. This is what keeps your floor from getting all squeaky and noisy down the line. It's like a support system for your support system.
All right, so building the floor is one thing, but building it well, that's the real goal, right? So let's get into some pro tips for getting that solid, professional finish. These are the little details that really separate the okay jobs from the amazing ones.
And of course, safety and precision are just fundamental. I mean, it's common sense, but you've got to remember it. Using the right tools for the job prevents silly mistakes. Wearing your safety gear, well, that prevents trips to the emergency room. Double-checking your measurements saves you from making some really expensive firewood. And keeping your workspace clean just makes everything more efficient. These aren't just suggestions, you know? They're essential if you want the project to go smoothly.
So, when it's all said and done, what are you aiming for? What does a great floor look and feel like? Well, here's your checklist. It should be perfectly flat and level. It needs to feel strong and stable under your feet, no bouncing. The boards should be super tight with no visible gaps. And of course, a smooth, clean finish. That's the gold standard. And on the flip side, here are the big mistakes you want to avoid at all costs. Poor joist spacing, loose boards, and uneven joists. See a pattern here? It all comes back to what we've been talking about. It's all about that strong foundation with properly spaced joists and a surface that's fixed on there tightly. If you can avoid these 3 things, you're building a floor that's going to last for decades.
Okay, we've gone through a lot here, from planning to pro tips, so let's bring it all together.
Let's create a simple, memorable blueprint to keep this whole process straight in your head.
Here's a super easy way to remember the 5 major steps. CJDBF. What's that stand for? Calculate your materials, set up your joists, pick your board design, build the actual floor, and finally apply the finish. CJDBF. It's a simple little trick to keep your whole project on track.
So here's the bottom line. Building a great floor isn't about luck, and it's not some kind of magic. It's just about following a clear, proven process. Every single step builds on the one before it, from that first calculation to the final finishing touch. It's how you create a foundation that you can really be proud of. And really, once you understand the fundamentals like this, it opens up a whole world of possibilities. So now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.